First off, before we get started, if you like Skyrim, or games like that, you should subscribe to the channel, because you're definitely among the right crowd. Well now, insert generic YouTube intro here. Today we're looking at some of the most useless locations in Skyrim. Rather than look at individual locations, we're gonna kinda look at genres of locations. Otherwise, if we're looking at individual locations, we'll literally be here all day. We are also going to ignore survival mode of Skyrim, as this is more of an additional feature rather than the way the game was actually meant to be played. On the easiest difficulty, absolutely fisting your way through the enemy with magic and battle axes. One of the most worthless locations in Skyrim is a whole lot of the various inns that are scattered around most of the cities. Not all of the inns are useless, mind you, though most of them are. There's a few inns that require you to go in them for mission-specific purposes, and the caretakers there selling assortment of food and drink, but you're better off spending your gold on something more substantial. An inn in Skyrim, oh god, say that 10 times fast, is more or less a location for players to go when the player themselves is feeling bored and needy and needs a rest from the story and side quests. Oftentimes there is live music inside of these places, and the ambience created by the crackling fire can be comforting. However, for the most part, unless you're doing quest-specific things, these places are basically just comfort areas. Sit and rest by the bonfire. You might find others to chat with, or even mercenaries to come and help you out. However, there's no progress that's going to be made in these places. Another really useless location is, well, pick any of Skyrim's large open fields that have absolutely nothing going on inside of them. As I've said before on this channel, this is one of the big issues with open world games. A massive majority of large map games just go completely unused, with areas of the map that are just vast emptiness. Believe it or not, these locations are actually made to be less appealing to the player on purpose in an attempt to stop players from exploring these areas. This is done to allow the game developers a place to put things to be found later on specific story missions as the player progresses through the game. Unfortunately, that leaves you with a large wasteland of absolutely nothing in every direction. Completely unused space that serves no purpose and has nothing inside of it. It really is a genuinely useless location, though it does have its purpose in some ways. It's a ton of graphic design and development that went into the game for absolutely nothing. Another place that strikes me as completely worthless is the city of Helgen. Yes, it is where the game starts, but after that, you just kinda leave it and you never look back. It's a destroyed pile of rubble, ash, and burnt corpses. Most veteran Skyrim players just run through this area and, well, don't look back. There is no later story missions that have you return to Helgen for any reason. As far as the game is concerned, once you leave for the first time, the city may as well no longer exist. The first place most people go after they leave Helgen is Riverwood, which at least has reasons to return. There's several missions that take you back to Riverwood, and there's a guy to sell things to for big profit. You also get to play matchmaker. Riverwood has its benefits. However, despite Riverwood being one of the earliest places that you visit in the game, and you have reasons to return back there, there are no good reasons to go back to Helgen. It is a tutorial area and nothing more. You don't even get to go back on any investigation missions, which actually would have been a really good idea to add to the game. A quick honorable mention of a useless location is Dawnstar. There's nothing going on there besides a museum based around Oblivion and a bunch of people having issues with nightmares. Unless you're doing add-ons and DLC, then Dawnstar is pretty much a worthless area in the middle of nowhere. One of the most worthless locations in the game is anywhere underwater. There are plenty of games out there with an underwater mechanic that requires you to do some exploration or combat or something, though not in Skyrim. There are a few wild resources that you can gather underwater and some chests to open, but the game doesn't use its underwater mechanics really at all. One of my personal all-time top phobias is being trapped underwater. That's one of the reasons why in the game Oblivion, I always chose to be an Argonian. Whenever I started playing Skyrim, I started doing the same thing, picking Argonian, and that's because they can breathe underwater. However, I learned quickly that the need to breathe underwater is completely unnecessary in the game. Situations that require it is just too rare to require that buff. There are a few spots where it would come in handy, such as shipwrecks or select locations and specific settings and whatnot. However, it is so rare and so far between that I just stopped worrying about it altogether. When it comes to useless locations in Skyrim, I could literally make an entire series on it, though the spots mentioned definitely feel like the most wasted space. However, it does give Skyrim a true open world feel, and I guess in the end, that's really what matters. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I definitely have more to say on the subject, and maybe I'll do that in future videos. So subscribe and stick around for that, and I suppose I'll see you guys on the next episode.